Every day that's what the world puts out, and we all want to be just a drop in that ocean. And even though we're all singing into the wind, every single one of us would do it again. 'Cause who can say what sets those wheels in motion? But when it's all about to change, you will know. Yeah, you can hear those tires squeal.
Hey, CB here again with Emily.
You've been listening to Radio VNP, curated performances from the weekly live stream of The Voice in the Pen.
For information on Radio VNP and The Voice in the Pen, please visit our website at voiceinthepen.com. You can learn about the performers you'll be listening to, as well as how to get involved.
And please visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you can get advance notifications of performances. We are a fast-growing community, and we'd love to have you join us.
The Voice in the Pen is a songwriters cooperative focused on promoting and assisting original songwriters with technology, technique, and platforms for performing.
That's right. Besides the weekly live stream on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 10, we also host educational and informational events to help performers understand the technology and techniques for better performances.
And if you're not a performer, you can still help support The Voice in the Pen in a number of ways. We can always use volunteers to help set up events, street crew to get the word out, and we always appreciate your marketing and advertising and sponsorship dollars.
We can use financial support to pay for projects such as our local music CD collection and artist honorariums.
And if you're a small business owner or a corporate representative interested in supporting original music and area songwriters, please reach out through any of our social media profiles or on our website at voiceinthepen.com. We can help you get your message out to a community of people known for supporting local businesses and the businesses that support local artists.
We'll be streaming some great music again in a few minutes.
In the meantime, please thank our sponsors for their support. It doesn't cost a dime to give them a call or a shout out on social media, and it lets them know that their support is deeply appreciated.
Thanks for tuning in, and have a musical day.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Well, I never felt more like singing the blues, 'cause I never thought that I'd ever lose your love here. Why'd you do me this way?
MusicRewind.com presents the Nashville Hitmakers, a collection of 60 songs that helped inspire the Nashville sound movement in the 1950s.
She thinks I still care. Billy, Billy, Bio, watch where you go.
Order the Nashville Hitmakers at MusicRewind.com or call 855-798-5556 today and pay only $19.98. Plus, get reduced shipping. Just enter or mention promo code HITS55. Go to MusicRewind.com or call 855-798-5556. Remember HITS55 to save on shipping. This offer is available for a limited time to U.S. residents only and cannot be combined with any other offer.
Folks, you know you're all looking for that special gift. Lines are long, traffic is frustrating, supply chains in the news. Just take a deep breath. If you're anywhere near Oak Island, come by Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive. Avoid the traffic, the lines, the frustration, and get that extraordinary and special gift. From high-end diamond rings to Larimar, from necklaces to bracelets, watches, and unique jewelry. And you also get one-on-one service with their experienced staff. Great prices now, just in time for the holidays. Come by and check out Seaside Jewelers, 8801 East Oak Island Drive.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
teachers, and parents. The North Carolina Symphony is here to support you as you carry on the education of your children and students. Take your kids on a free virtual field trip to the Symphony with a virtual education concert and companion student book. Go on a virtual journey to learn what makes music music with music by William Grant Still, Beethoven, Brahms, and more. Access the free video and student book with password 1932 at ncsymphony.org/virtual.
That's not windmills in my mind. Welcome, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 6 o'clock, and it's All Things Brunswick. This is Bill Moore back from a long hiatus. They finally let me back in the door. And, we threw Dan out because you can't have everybody at the same time. So Dan took a week off to let me circulate back in again. But let my partners introduce themselves.
And Mary Stillwell, and I'm so happy to have Bill back. Welcome back, Bill.
It's good to be here. And
I am Greta Lehman, and I am thrilled to be filling in for Dan Roman tonight.
and she's better looking than Dan. So we'll discuss this as we get down.
Wherever you are, Dan,
By the
I
way,
miss you.
before we go any further, everyone needs to know that tonight is Mary's birthday.
Woo!
And we need to wish her a happy birthday. She just got old enough to vote, so that, of course, that was the election of 1972, but we're not going any further with that one. You can hit me with that one. But anyway, we want to wish Mary a happy birthday and many, many more. And keep working hard for this show because you do a great job keeping us alive and running.
Thank you.
And we want to welcome Greta here because Greta's been working hard on the technical end. And she's going to fill in for us whenever one of us gets sick.
And I'll try not to say anything vulgar at all.
Well, then you're going to have a very quiet night.
I know, right?
But anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're not going to have any guests on because there's just so much happening in the last week or two.
It is busy.
Yeah. So we thought that maybe we'd start reviewing some of the things that have gone on in our country. And let's start with last week in the Supreme Court.
Wow, what a week.
Oh, God, it was a big week.
What a week. June 24th, a day that will live in my heart forever.
Okay. You want to tell us what happened that day?
Roe v. Wade.
You want to go into that a little bit further?
I'd be happy to go into that a little bit further. And for those of you who have joined us in the 21st century, I don't want you to panic or get too upset out there. I think it's a positive move in the sense that I think we ladies have a lot of other choices now. And we don't have the stigma. I don't believe, this is just my belief, there was a stigma 50 years ago about unwed pregnancy.
Absolutely.
Big one. Okay.
Yes.
I don't see that in society anymore. We positively encourage girls to go on TV at 16 and have babies out of wedlock.
Oh, yes.
Okay. We have a lot of medical things now called morning after pills, abortion pills. We have a lot of things we did not have back then. So when people get upset about it, I say, you know what? Every state is different, and I'm glad the vote's closer to home because that's where I can influence my government is close to home.
And speaking with what you're talking about, as an educator for many, many decades, at least 3 because she's older than I am, but
oh God.
But I remember when I first started, a young woman got pregnant and she just disappeared.
Yes, she did.
She went to visit with somebody else, went to another relative,
It's
and
your aunt for
or
9
somebody,
months.
someone out of state or something, and
Yes.
maybe she was back next semester or not, but she was just gone.
Yes.
And then I also remember not too many decades later, we started having parties for kids that were pregnant. They had their showers, if you will. Some of the kids after school would get together and do a baby shower for them. So the attitude changed greatly. And you're
Oh, it certainly did. And then you would see these young ladies who were pregnant attending school.
Yes.
And it was like, it was okay. Their friends were giving them advice and saying, I can't wait until I have a baby.
Oh,
I
Lord.
have heard that so many times.
But Mary, do you really envision a world, especially in the great state of North Carolina, where the abortion pill cops are going to kick your door in for ordering
Absolutely
one?
not.
Because I don't see it. Not here. I don't see it in most places.
I think what happened also is whenever this came about, people were confused.
Yeah.
Okay. They felt as though Roe versus Wade was a done deal. Okay. The
Sure.
end of an era,
Sure.
so to speak. What they did not understand was that was not the case. It was returned to the individual states.
That's exactly it.
And it did not ban abortion.
It's
No,
not banned.
it-
We have
it
not
did
banned
not.
abortion in this country.
But you will notice that some of the folks that were protesting after it came about were talking about it being a done deal, and that is not the case.
Right.
So hopefully everybody understands exactly what did happen.
And you know what's interesting with that is if it did in fact ban abortion, why do you have places like Chicago, New York, California saying they're going to become the haven for abortions
Yes.
and send me your, almost like the Statue of Liberty, send me your people that want to have abortions and we'll make sure it happens here.
Cottage industry, baby.
And you have companies like Disney and other companies that have turned around and said, we will provide $4,000 for you to go to the state that will allow you to do that.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously abortion is not banned. It's just been turned back to the states for their own decisions.
Right.
And those decisions could run anywhere from total banning, which I doubt, to maybe a 15-week operation, maybe 24 weeks. I don't think anybody's going to go with late term
Oh
at
my
this
gosh,
point.
I hope not.
Well,
But-
that was the horror. That was the horror of
That was
for
the
most
horror
people,
show,
wasn't it?
yeah.
That was the image. I was watching those undercover things where the Planned Parenthood people are selling fetuses and stuff.
Parts about baby parts. Right, I
baby
remember
parts,
that.
things
Yeah.
like that. I mean that's a horror show. And I think for most decent human beings walking the earth, that's a horror show, right? But there's a there's still a small group of people out there who are ready to burn churches down. They burned down a historic church in West Virginia.
Yep.
Yes.
They're willing to graffiti churches. They're willing to beat up people. They're willing to do all these things. And I say, okay, guys, and we've been down this road before in America. We have. We've been down this protest road before.
Yes, we have.
But you didn't lose anything.
No.
You gained. And if you're really that concerned about it, then I suggest you get out and vote, because that's the game changer.
It is.
But something you said earlier is probably the linchpin to this whole thing. There are so many ways now to avoid getting pregnant.
Mhm. Mhm.
Abortion should not be an anti-pregnancy choice. It's not like it's not like using a condom, or it's not like taking the pill or whatever else. It should not be a choice. Certain cases, maybe rape, something like that, we'll talk.
Yeah.
But it should not be, well, I won't use anything and I'll just have something, an abortion. It's your responsibility. Some people have said interesting lines like, if it's my body, my choice, and taking it to a different area, well, that would also work for vaccinations.
Yes.
Yes.
My body, my choice. You
Yes.
can't pick and choose what you want that to
no
work
cherry
for.
picking on this one.
And a lot of women that I spoke to said, "Oh my gosh, does that mean that if I have a pregnancy in which would harm me or the baby, does that mean that I have to carry this child full term?" No, it doesn't. Your doctor makes that decision. That is a terrible protest to this.
That's not the government's
No,
decision.
Absolutely not.
And you go back,
Medical.
Yeah.
following on that, under Obamacare, contraceptives were free.
Yes.
Mhm.
A woman could go get the pill, whatever else, the IED, whatever you want to talk about,
Yes.
absolutely free as part of Obamacare. So
Yep.
it's just a matter of choice.
Yes.
And abortion should not be a choice. It may be necessary, but it's there not be a general choice in avoiding getting pregnant.
Last item on the menu. So
I
to
agree.
speak. Okay, really, the court of last resort, but has become a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people. It has.
When you look at the numbers, it was a 5-4 decision
Mhm.
with Justin Robbins going over, and joining the 4 liberals on the 3 liberals on the court. So it was 5-4. But if you think about it, if it that President Trump had nominated, this would not have happened.
Exactly that.
You give President Trump credit, and nobody wants to give the second part of that person credit. Senator McConnell, he gets in a lot of trouble
I know.
here and there. But if he didn't, A, stop Garland getting in the position, and B, maneuvering and working to get those other 3 justices appointed,
Absolutely.
we would not have had that decision.
Yeah.
So credit goes to both of them.
But please, folks, before you jump and run, so to speak, get the facts.
Before you graffiti that church.
Yeah, make sure you know what you're talking about if you're out there protesting.
Yeah, even
please.
NCGOP headquarters was graffitied.
Yes.
Big time. They wrote all over the
Yes, it
building about
was.
the abortion issue. They actually
Mhm.
destroyed the whole sides of the building with their big red letters.
Well, the good news is there is a whole young generation of people out there who value life, who value service to their country, who value these things. They're still there. Okay. I'm not going to dump on all young people. I'm not going to dump on everybody. And you know what? There's an awful lot of Democrats out there who were horrified by late term abortion. They really were. So I think that this thing's going to work itself out. It's America. Things usually have a way of working themselves out. I'm sorry for the shock, but burning down a historic church in West Virginia, beating up the priest is not the answer to the problem.
You know what's sad? I go to a church in Brunswick, and I went back when we were away for a while. When I went back down to church, there was a sheriff sitting at the front door.
Yeah.
And they always had an outdoor open traffic, but this was at the front door.
Yeah.
And when I asked the police about it, he said it was just for the battle.
Yeah.
And it's sad that we have to go to that.
Police state. I know.
That's unfortunate.
I know. And you will find everything now, you will see more police presence than we ever have.
I'm talking to Bill. Sorry.
I'm working with him.
He's coming down the sound. We don't want to lose Bill again.
So in order to correct this or anything else, you must get out and vote. And we people are very much interested in voter ID.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, please tell them what happened just recently.
Feed to that one. That was like a home run feed. I mean, that one right over the top there. Okay, another ruling coming out that same week was an 8-1 ruling, which automatically, unfortunately, was misinterpreted by many on our side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've won voter ID. No, we didn't. What we did win was the right for the state legislature to get involved when the court said when the people you're elected for, in this case, our attorney general, is not representing the people appropriately, the legislature has the right and the duty to step in and represent the people. So all that meant was that in our case, that our state legislature could now join in the cases involved for supporting voter ID, which they couldn't up till then. A major win for us, but it didn't change much yet.
The battle's still going on.
And will for a while.
Yeah.
You know, and again, speaking of that battle, there's only one way we're going to change it in North Carolina. Mary, what's that?
We're going to put the right people in the right places. And that being, as we have noted over and over and over, 3, 2, and 1. And that is Supreme Court 1. And then we have Court of Appeals 2 and our legislature 3.
Well, remember, there are 2 open positions on our state Supreme Court this year, and both of them are Democrats. Mm-hmm. So if we can win one or both of them, we can do a couple of things. We can guarantee more conservative results, and I'm also think that the Democratic side, which tends to sue for everything, is going to think twice about it when they know there's going to be a conservative group sitting at the top, because right now it's 4-3 liberal. And so they can get their battles up there and they can win them. But I think this election in November, which puts these people in office on January 1st, will change some of that. And that's important for us.
Make a huge difference.
And it will also take away one spot they can keep fighting over voter ID.
Right.
You know, so if you have the state Supreme Court and the U.S. Supreme Court majority conservative, it's going to limit their ability to keep fighting over ridiculous things. And maybe we'll actually get voter ID in time for 2024.
Isn't that the point of checks and balances in the government? Isn't that the entire point?
Well, the entire point on one side is if you don't give me what I want, we'll appoint more justices till I get what I want.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that the whole point from the framers and the founders was, look, if you get out of control, we have a remedy for that. And if he gets out of control, you have a remedy.
It is called checks and balances for a reason.
Yep.
You know, and, you know, unfortunately, you know, the latest thing I heard last week was some of the people are saying, well, maybe we should just do away with the filibuster for the abortion issue. You know, again, they're just finding little things to get over with. And they need to remember that every time they do that, it ends up biting them in the butt. For example, when they did that to get their justice on, then it gave Senator McConnell the ability to get 3 more on using the same rule they put in place.
Exactly.
So they need to be a little bit, you know, and if they appoint 3 or 4 more justices because they want to appoint, nothing stops the Republicans from taking over and appointing another 10 justices.
True.
Exactly.
You know, so what do we end up with? The Supreme Court, or we have a whole
What an
Congress?
idea, huh?
Which brings me to this point, which is very important to me And I hope to all of our listeners, please vote the entire ballot.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
judges are at the end.
Amen.
We need to put the right ones in place. Thank you.
And we will be handing out things. And again, we're now back to the point where the judges have a Republican or Democrat next to them. Figure it out. But now you can just go down the ballot. Plus, we'll have slate cards there as you need them. But you can go down the ballot and find the R's for Republican and vote for them, which makes it a whole lot easier to put people in there that believe in the Constitution at either level being written and interpreting it rather than changing it or writing new law, which is very, very important. Now, there was one we lost that week, though.
Yeah, there was.
However, it's not over.
Thank goodness.
But it still doesn't mean we don't have to comply with it. There was a middle states federal court which ruled in North Carolina. The law stated that if you were transgender and you wanted to change your sex, you had to submit paperwork to show that you had the surgery.
Right.
You completed the activity.
Correct.
And then you could submit to change your sex officially on your birth certificate and whatever else. Well, the federal judge at the mid-level courts ruled that that's inappropriate, and all someone has to do is submit their information and say they want that. So unfortunately, unless they could get an injunction, that's now the law in this state. And I do not know yet whether they're going to appeal it. I assume they will, but whether a court of appeals turns around and puts an injunction until it's decided, do not know that. But we did lose a big one there, and people are not happy by that across the state.
It's just utterly ridiculous. I'm sorry. It just blows my mind.
You think?
Absolutely.
It's just so again, we're back to this is how I feel, not necessarily the factual part of what I am, but I feel that.
Yeah. Because, and I will say this, we have a lot of young people in this day and age who put a lot of store in what their educators say and do and tell them is okay.
True.
We have young people who feel they are of one sexual preference because their teacher told them it was okay to be that way. To me, that is so sad. And we really need to dig hard and get into this with our school systems. Each and every one of our county boards of education need to visit these areas repeatedly. I have heard this from all three areas of schools in Brunswick County, and it is it's amazing. I would never have dreamed that anything like this could have happened when I went to school.
Yeah, well,
my teacher would never have said half of what they do now.
No.
And I'm not, and I know we have some wonderful, wonderful teachers out there. In fact, I have friends that are teachers, and I love them. It's like anything. We have to pick out the bad and do something about it.
And again, now we have two candidates running for office and school board in Brunswick County.
Indeed.
Robin Moffett and Steve Gainey,
Yep.
who are going to support what parents really need and parents' control and choice.
Absolutely.
So, if you're not liking what you're hearing about some of this stuff and what's going on in schools, you need to pay attention to what Steve and Robin are saying and get out there and vote for him. Again, that down ballot. Don't just stop at the top people. You got to go down ballot and find all these people that need your support so we can win up and down the line.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It is not a teacher's right, in my opinion, to even speak to a child about their sexual preference.
But you talk about what you're saying with that. It's also interesting when you look at what the left says about that. An 18-year-old is not old enough to make a decision about getting a weapon, but a 5-year-old can decide their sex.
Yeah.
I know.
There's no logic.
Makes
I don't
no
understand that
sense.
one at all. And I interrupted you. You were going to say something.
How good were you at decision making when you were under the age of 18? I'm just curious for our audience out there. Who was an adult, mature, wonderful decision maker?
We were bulletproof. whatever we did, whatever we thought, whatever we said was okay.
There are people that question my decision making today. Forget how it was at 18.
That's because you're the leader.
That's true.
They're always going to question you. But I mean, if I didn't have strong parental supervision, because I made lots of stupid decisions when I was a kid, right? I did a lot of dangerous stuff.
That's what you do when you're
Why
a kid.
would you? I don't understand why I would sit back and allow a teacher to talk my child into, oh no, you're really a boy.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you look at COVID, and I go back to some consequences of the COVID lockdown, was parents found out what's going on in schools.
Yep.
Yes.
And, I don't think the left thought that was going to happen. But what it did is it woke up a lot of people saying, hey, this is not acceptable. I control what my kids learn, and I control what they learn about sexuality and things like that. You're there to teach them the ABCs in simple terms, and I'll deal with, what they need to learn about life, et cetera, et cetera.
So it was top down. I mean, you had the teachers unions sending letters to the Justice Department, and we need protection, and we need then these. I mean, really?
Yeah, really.
That's police state stuff right there, guys. That's communism.
Look
right
at the
there.
FBI that started looking at parents who were raising discussions at school board meetings, and they were suddenly becoming terrorists for
They
a
were
while.
locking them up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Huh?
And you talk about weaponizing the FBI and other groups, which takes me in another direction, not even on our list for tonight, but the Second Amendment red flag law that the federal government passed. I really don't have a problem with looking at certain rules for people to make sure they can hold a weapon.
Yeah.
But the way the federal government has their powers, the IRS went after conservatives in 2010. You've been doing, you got the FBI chasing conservatives and locking them up. You go after someone who's a Trump guy, they break into their house, you scare the daylights out of somebody.
Yes.
You go arrest somebody else, come on with me, let's go. Because they're a liberal, if you're going that at all. So giving them another power like red flag is just not going to work because of the weaponization. Nothing would stop me from turning around and saying, I know Gretchen and she's a problem, and so she shouldn't have a weapon because I have a gripe with her. And the police come in, they don't give you due process. They knock on your door, they confiscate your weapons, and then maybe you get a day in court down the road. That just doesn't work. You need your day in court.
That's a third name you've used for me today, by the way. Okay. I met with you this.
Hey, everybody. This is my friend
Gretchen.
Okay. Bill loves this bit. Okay. He loves to change my name on a daily basis.
And I do.
3 names today. Okay?
I mean, and we'll go to the last one in the last subject.
Boy, I'm glad I got an easy name.
Did you say something, Marion?
I like the EPA decision, guys. I got to be honest with you. I'm tickled about that. That one guy's no longer as weaponized as they were last week. Is the EPA, okay?
I want to talk about that. One of the good decisions that came out of there. And that was 6-3 with, again, the conservatives on one side, the liberals on the other.
Yep.
But it basically turned around and said the EPA doesn't have the power to regulate all the coal industries as a group.
You
they
didn't
can do
elect
one
them.
on one. No, they're an elected authority, and that power lists in Congress.
Right.
And if Congress doesn't do it, they can't do it. So what you're saying is they can't go after these coal plants and say, you got to drop your emissions on a nationwide basis. They can go after a specific one that may have dirty coal and deal with that one, but they can't set standards for the whole country without Congress saying they need to do that.
I'm hearing a hidden message coming through from the United States Supreme Court to legislatures everywhere, especially our federal one. Do your job.
Yeah, think?
That's
Wouldn't that be
it.
nice?
In facts.
Pass
Good Lord,
laws.
please.
Quit investigating everybody and pass some stinking laws.
And check your facts. Please check your facts.
Again, credit goes to President Trump.
Yep.
Yes.
And to Senator McConnell. Without those people there, we wouldn't have had this ruling, which is basically the EPA has been and this is kind of taking them a step back and saying, you don't have that authority. If Congress wants to do it, they have the right to pass the regulations and laws. That's their job. But they're not going to pass it off to you guys to do an unelected official to do what you want.
Right.
And I think that's a good move, and I support that wholeheartedly.
As do I.
So, thank you, Marion.
You have Mary's support. You're good to go.
We're especially on her birthday. She gets extra days support on her birthday.
I think you should do all the talking from here on out. It's your birthday.
Right.
Oh,
Now, we did lose one decision, though.
We did indeed.
5-4 decision, and then this is an interesting point, and the Liberals also complain that it's always a conservative bloc. Well, 2 conservatives crossed over and joined with the 3 Liberals in this case, whatever the reasons. But Roberts and Kavanaugh decided to vote with the Liberals on this case and gave Biden the right to shut down the Keep Them in Mexico program if they want to get asylum here.
That's a mixed blessing if I ever received one. I'll be honest with you. I view that one as a mixed blessing, but at least we know, and we already knew that we have some great jurists on the Supreme Court who vote their conscience and the law, the Constitution.
You know,
Okay.
Good point.
you get extra points for that one.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and it's not her birthday.
Right. So you can hold those and trade them in on your birthday, whatever
my
that's
birthday.
going to be. And so, but you need to, you think about the 5-4, the other reality with it, though, because of the open border, that number had shrunk significantly over there waiting to come in. They didn't need to. They just had an open border to cross over. And we're paying for it across the board.
There's a lot of people paying
are
for it
we
right now,
ever
Bill.
paying
Yeah.
for it?
There's lots of innocent people paying for this.
And there's unfortunately lots of innocent illegals that are paying for it desperately. You
With
saw
their
the 50
lives.
someone that died in that truck.
Yes.
Then that doesn't count the women and children that are being violated and sold into whatever else as they come across.
Left in the desert.
Even better, yeah. Because these coyotes don't care, and these cartels are making mega bucks over it.
And they're using these young women for sex trafficking.
Yes, ma'am, they are.
And they're making a fortune on it. And how come you're not listening? I don't understand why we aren't listening. Gosh, I mean, they're people.
Scary, and it may not be people coming. Ambassador from Guatemala said this week.
No.
He came out and made the statement that President Biden should not be dealing with Venezuela, that he will let open borders occur and let drugs in exchange for more oil.
Oh.
Now, this is an ambassador from another country saying he's afraid that Biden's going to do that, trade oil for drugs.
It was an astonishing interview.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it
I
was.
hate I missed it.
It wasn't high on the radar screen. It was one of those things that popped up and I went, he what? It was one of those, he what moments? Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said that's what he's going to do. He's going to trade that open border and let all these people in for oil.
And he's looking for drugs. And basically the drug trade coming in from Venezuela.
Yep.
And in exchange, they would make more oil for us.
Yes.
It just absolutely amazes me.
So actually, everything that we've worked so hard to undo, is being reversed. Everything.
In a word, yes.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And we're not going to change much of it. Our only hope in 2022 is to elect a legislature at the national level, stop funding some of what's going on, because they can't stop everything because there's executive orders. And, they're never going to, even if they pass legislation, he can veto it, and they're not going to have the strength to override it. But if they can control both houses, they can stop some of what's happening and get ready for 2024 with a big election that if we take the presidency and move on from there, we can undo a lot of what's happening. So that's critical. And you need to remember, people, you need to vote. Your vote matters.
It does.
Amen.
Every single one.
Right. And if you don't believe that, then, you're in trouble. And if you don't believe you should vote, you have another problem, because every vote counts and you can make a difference. And if you don't vote, my reaction is don't ever complain to me.
Ever.
You've lost the right to complain if you didn't vote. I think we've reached that halfway point that we need to actually do commercials.
I think we might.
So, Mary, why don't you start us?
I will. We're going to start this evening with the Boiling Spring Lakes Motel. The Boiling Spring Lakes Motel, located at 2 North Shore, is a peaceful and convenient place to stay. Newly renovated rooms with a comfortable back porch welcomes everyone. Discount rates are available to those who might need more time, or they might be working nearby. Close to the beach and Wilmington, everything you need for a fun vacation. Call Stephanie at 910-845-2893. Another outstanding place, folks. You must visit Angie's Fresh Produce, 4447 Long Beach Road, Southeast Southport. Beautiful fresh produce at a great price, plus shelves filled with jams, jellies, dressings, and sauces, and fresh loaves of bread. Angie's has just about every fruit or vegetable that you want. In-store shopping and pickup, and all wheelchair accessible. Call Angie's Fresh Produce at 910-477-9068.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Should I turn her on?
Is that better? Hello?
On you.
Yep.
Welcome back to All Things Brunswick. It's Tuesday, midway through the show, and my two co-hosts here, Greta and Mary, we're just knocking this out of the park tonight. We're talking about a lot of things that need to be discussed and what happened in the last week or so. So the one thing I'm going to close up with, the last comment about what we did prior, is when we talk about the voter ID numbers for that election. What was interesting is two liberal judges crossed over and joined the conservative majority, and that was an 8-1 vote in favor of the state legislatures having that authority, with only Justice Sotomayor,
as you.
I don't know her name well either. It's just a name. I don't do that.
She just assumes everything. Okay.
So Justice S. So anyway, with that done, the second part of the show is we're going to discuss a little bit about another big thing that happened last week. Was for the second time in as many years, the state of North Carolina is going to actually have a budget.
I know.
And it is expected. I don't know whether the governor has signed it, but he's expected to sign it. And I think mainly because it's an election year, and the Democrats really don't want to say that they've killed the teachers' raises. In addition to that, I believe there are a couple of Democrats that are lined up to vote with the Republicans, and he doesn't want to be overridden, especially on a bipartisan basis. So I think that's what you're probably looking at. And let me start out with a couple of comments on it, then we'll kind of kick it around with all of us. The new budget for 22-23 is $29.9 billion with a B dollars, which is a 7.2% increase over this current year's budget. It does allow increases where necessary, but it doesn't raise taxes. And as a matter of fact, it doesn't stop the reduction that they have over the 5-year plan to keep lowering our personal income tax and our corporate income tax to zero. Yet they've managed to do this. Highlights of it, let's start with the teachers. Teachers are going to see an average of 4.2% raise.
Wow.
And some of them will get more than that with steps.
Yeah.
But considering the fact that for a while they were seeing nothing, and again, to be truthful about it, the Republicans every year in the last 5 years have put teacher raises in that budget.
They have.
And then our Governor Cooper has vetoed the budget because he couldn't get Medicaid plus added to the program, additional Medicaid. So he killed it. And then he blamed the Republicans for not giving the teachers raises.
Yeah.
So, which is, and unfortunately, some of the teacher leadership said, yes, it's the Republicans' fault, which is fascinating. The numbers were there, but it was killed over increasing Medicare expansion, and he wouldn't do it. And yet, this new budget does not add Medicaid expansion anywhere. So it's still not as part of the program, which is fascinating.
I'm happy to see that some of the non-certified employees will receive a raise as well.
Yes.
They work very hard.
Yeah. And the nice part of it is they either get 4% or $15 an hour, whichever's greater.
Yes.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, $15 an hour is something that they've been goaling around the country.
Sure.
And the state is saying that all our employees like that deserve that, which is nice.
My neighbor is one of those non-certified people. He's at Hoggart downtown. The guy wears a Fitbit. He puts 30,000 steps on that thing every day.
I'm sure.
Really?
They run him to death.
Oh, I'm sure they do. It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him.
I am.
Then he's earned it.
Yes.
Very much.
He probably earns the 4% plus the $15 an hour for 30,000 steps.
I hope so.
God
Does
help.
this includes the bus drivers, right?
That's every school employee.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
Isn't that amazing?
They have a job.
Yeah,
oh
they do.
my.
And they're getting a decent salary to do their job. And the greater majority of them do a great job.
They do.
And they go above and beyond, like most of our teachers do.
Absolutely.
So that's important. Now, the rest of the state employees, or the must be my breath or something. I guess I'm knocking these things out left or right. But the non-employee, the state employees who don't work for the Board of Educations, they're going to see a 3.5% raise.
Right.
And the state retirees are going to get a 1% COLA bonus on top of their normal raise that they normally see based on cost of living. So
wow.
They're building some bucks into this thing to help people.
Yeah.
I think that's a fascinating move for a time. Again, taxes are not going up. They're actually going down. Yet they're able to raise the money because they put the money in bringing business here.
Can we shout out to our own Brunswick County commissioners for holding our taxes down forever?
Brunswick County is the 5th lowest county in taxes in the state.
I know. I love these guys.
They're in the top 10 as far as lowest. I think that,
I shout out to our commissioners.
Yes.
and I think they raised water bills once in 15 years, and it was like $1 or something. Wasn't
Yes.
a big buck.
Yes.
And they still managed to put $90 million away for a rainy day fund. So these guys have done a phenomenal job.
They really have. They
You know,
work hard at it.
and they truly are good stewards of your money,
Yes.
which is critical for us.
Yep. We need to keep every one of them in place.
And speaking of that, we have 2 of them up for re-election this time, which
Randy Thompson.
and Marty Cook. And they need your support.
Yep.
And vote for them because they're good people
They
and
are.
they've done right by you and they deserve the reward.
Aw, we can share.
No, I love listening to you two talk. I do it every week.
No, you can share.
We've got.
I got another mic, but I want you to keep rolling because there's a lot of good news to tell here today.
Okay.
All right, we'll go get you a mic.
I will.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing that I was happy to see was the $15 million for school resource officer grant program.
Yeah, but that's
It's specifically for elementary and middle. That's important.
yes, it is.
Important.
On top of the $32 million for other school safety programs that are there. And what I also like looking at, they had the foresight to say we have an inflation that's just run away.
Yes.
And so they said, let's put $1 billion aside. So when our projects invariably go over cost, we have money sitting there to fund it. And we're not running around looking where we're going to get it. Or we're not going to go after more money out of your pocket.
Smart people.
Good stewards of your money. I think they've done a magnificent job. Okay.
Yep. And the reduced price lunches. That's a great idea.
And if you're not sure what that is, our school programs offer 2 kinds of program with certain figures in the family income. You can get a free lunch at school. If you're just above that, it's called reduced payment. So maybe it's 25 or 50 cents. You get that same lunch where the kids might pay $1.60 or $2 if they have no program. The state is saying, we're going to fund everybody for even the reduced lunch people. We're going to fund those costs. So basically, free and reduced lunch are the same right now,
Yeah.
which is nice that they thought about it.
Well, there are some children that is the only meal that they get a day.
And those families that are running with inflation the way it is,
Mhm.
this is going to help. Even that 25, 50 cents a day, you multiply by the number of kids that could be getting it,
Right.
and you take it for a week, that's a few extra bucks in the pocket to cover something else.
Absolutely.
Now,
I
Greta,
love
what do you
that.
think about that?
I think it's really sad, and I'm very proud that a lot of the schools kept their lunch program going during COVID, because Mary's absolutely right. Some kids, that was the only decent meal, if meal at all, they
Yep.
got.
Yep.
Well, there are some programs in schools that even send backpacks home for weekends.
Well, Matthew's
I know.
Ministries.
Matthew's Ministry is one of them. I knew you'd get there.
We have to support that. She's an
Absolutely.
awesome lady.
Absolutely.
And we have to support Matthew's Ministries. She does so much good, providing these kids bring home a backpack with food and enough things in it to last them the weekend. If not, they wouldn't eat all weekend. So if you're kicking around some extra money and you don't know where to put it, please donate to Matthew's Ministries.
And that was a free commercial. For
I know I
Matthew's
couldn't.
Ministry.
It's about
And they've earned
kids. Yeah.
And they've earned it. We'll give it to them.
And it's kids. It's
Okay.
kids.
Another thing, the income level requirements for Opportunity Scholarship Program will be
Yep.
expanded with to be equal or less than 200% of the amount required for free or reduced lunch. Now, let me explain what Opportunity Scholarship is.
Please.
Our state legislature realized that it's not every school fits every kid. Yeah, but if you're poor or if you're lower middle class and you can't afford to make that transition to a different school or a private school, you haven't got the money. This, if you apply for it and it's granted, you then have a $9,000 or $10,000 block of money, and you get to pick the school you want to go to.
School choice?
School choice. And they've not only gone there, but they've also met with a number of private schools. And I believe there are 500 private schools across the country who will accept that as full payment.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're taking that money and they're going there. And I will tell you, don't feel too bad for the districts that are losing it, because they may be getting 9 or 10, but the district's still getting $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 for that kid that's not coming.
Right.
This is to keep the district from complaining too much.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
So, but it's there. And the nice part with that is they've actually pushed this up an additional 56 million. So there's over $150 million sitting out there for parents to apply for to go to different schools.
Wow.
To make your child doesn't fit that round peg in the square hole,
Yes.
find the school that works for him and get him there.
Please, please do it.
And you know that the governor and the Democratic Party is against it. They have Forward Opportunity Scholarship from the very beginning because the teachers unions are against it. Because what's happening, private schools are grabbing the kids and it's cutting down the numbers and it's affecting the classrooms.
I worry about our governor. I think he's more interested in being on the Democratic presidential slate in 2024 than he is about our kids.
I
Sorry.
think he's entitled to be on the list.
Well, they're talking about him, you know.
Yeah, I know they are. But he's been on a number of lists that I've looked at.
I'll bet.
Not necessarily running for
Good
president.
ones.
But I guess I should be good here. It's just a family show.
Mhm.
We won't go any further with that. You want to talk about the sales tax revenue, one of you guys? No, she doesn't want
I want to talk about wastewater.
Okay, we'll leave that one for you then.
No, wait a minute. We have to talk about sales tax.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so, all right. It states that the budget also calls for transferring 2% of sales tax revenue, approximately $193.1 million, to the high due to declining revenue to support a variety of transportation purposes, increasing to 6% in 2024-25 and thereafter.
Now, since
Okay. Well, I have one sentence to say to that. Good for them.
you got to remember the state repairs our roads.
Yeah. Yep.
And what they're saying is if you, for example, you see our government, federal government has cut back the government tax 18 3/4 cents on gas.
Yes.
As a temporary fix, but that's the money they want to transportation.
Exactly.
And that they used to give to the states to build roads.
Yep.
So our state government is saying, look, we know it's not coming. We can't take a chance of losing the ability to fix and build our roads. So we're going to build into our program money to anticipate that problem. So again, credit to them for forward looking and not just reacting after it happens.
And you know what, guys, I really feel like this can be directed at Brunswick County. We have this big influx of people.
Yes.
Our infrastructure is in need.
Yes, ma'am.
Our roads are terrible. I didn't want to say that too loud.
But that's not the county commissioner's problem.
I know it is not. No, it is not. But we need to, each and every municipality in this county has DOT roads. Okay?
True.
Which means that the municipality and the county are not responsible for
There
this.
are some roads in municipalities that are owned by the municipality.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the county's out of it in all cases.
Right. But each and every one of the municipalities has at least, I know where I live, I can name you 3 roads that belong to the DOT.
Wow.
And the side roads obviously belong to the city, but they're being left behind.
They are.
Because of funding.
Yes.
So I'm happy to see this.
They're planning ahead, which is, again, why having a Republican legislature since 2010 has been a good thing for us. Budgets have been balanced. Debts have been paid off that were owed billions when they came in. And at the same time, they've steadily reduced the tax rate, both corporate and individual.
Right.
Yet they've increased the dollars. And Democrats said, once you start cutting the taxes, you're going to have a deficit. And the Republicans said, no, if we attract businesses and we cut down money, people will put more money into it, and we're actually going to have more people paying taxes, and we're going to benefit. And that's exactly what they've proven over and over again. That's what's happening. So that's a great thing for us.
It is. It really is.
Again, a part of the budget, moving on quickly, $14.8 million has been allocated for mental health resources across the state. That's an additional 14.8 from what's already out there. So they are looking at issues, and we all know that there are mental health issues around here. And,
yes.
and they're not peculiar to the big cities. They're everywhere.
No, they're everywhere.
So the money's out there for help. Now, Greta, why don't you take a look at the next one?
Big shout out to the North Carolina General Assembly for adding a ton of money to water and wastewater projects. What do I mean by that? $883 million. Now, y'all need to understand how fragile our wastewater and water infrastructures are, okay? And we're not the only county in North Carolina that's growing like crazy. Well, lots of folks are coming to North Carolina nowadays, and we've got a lot of businesses have come in. We have Italian businesses who are coming in to Brunswick County. Did you know that?
No.
We have an Italian leather company, a warehouse company that produces their products here, that makes the product here with Italian leather in Brunswick County.
I didn't know that.
Stumbled on them today.
Isn't that great?
But this is so important, water and wastewater infrastructure. And guys, after all that craziness with the H2Go and the reverse osmosis and the Gen X, our General Assembly is knocking it out of the park with this list. They're listening.
And remember that $883 million brings the total expenditure to $2.5 billion over 2 years.
Yes,
exactly.
So they're doing a great job of staying on top of this, and the infrastructure is going along with it, along with our county commissioners. They're building the reverse osmosis plant, and they're planning. They've already planned out for what the estimates are for a good 10 years from now for requirements for wastewater and water to our people.
Great.
They're putting in, the lines down 17 were a secondary line system that we're putting in preparation for growth.
Yes.
So they're forward looking. They're not going to be reactive. They're being proactive.
Exactly.
Which is a wonderful thing to see from for government at any level.
Oh, so again, the legislature in North Carolina is doing the job we elected them to do. Is that what you're telling us, Bill?
Yes. God.
There's a message here.
This could
Read my
become-
mind, Mary.
Only Retta,
Wait a minute
because
now.
they're conservative.
No, wait a
There
minute.
you go.
You now have the
She's
county,
reading my
the
mind.
county conservatives, county legislature, and then the state legislature doing the will of the people. This could become a trend.
That's a shocking
It could
concept.
become a trend.
I
My
know.
God.
I know.
This could actually become catchy.
I'm giddy with joy at our government here. Oh my God! I'm so glad I'm from North Carolina. I got bragging rights over here. Okay.
You want to do the next?
Oh, goodness. Okay. 300 million has been allocated to build a new education complex. Do we know what kind of an education complex?
Well, it's the complex that's in Raleigh that needs to be updated. It's
I
not,
see.
they need more space because they have more things they're not doing.
Okay. And governor's office in downtown
I'm in
Raleigh,
trouble for that somewhere, but
and to renovate and demolish other downtown government buildings. Well, folks, if you take a look at Raleigh, it needs an upgrade. There's no doubt in my mind.
yeah, and the education complex is unfortunately, whether you believe it or not, is growing at a great number.
Mhm.
They really need more office space. They need to upgrade. So
Yeah.
I don't begrudge them. I just wish that the results would be more positive to the people.
Exactly.
Right.
Maybe if we give them better space, they'll like us a little bit better.
Maybe.
Do what we need to do.
Maybe that could happen.
Maybe that's just they're so cramped, they're just grumpy.
Well, no, it's because they're not conservative.
Well, that's true. By the way, did you also see that the legislature is trying to pass a law? I don't think they passed it now, but they're going to try to take our superintendent of schools, which is Truitt. Right now, she's the secretary to the Board of Education at the state level. They're trying to put her in the lead position.
Oh wow.
So that would be magnificent. But
Wow.
right now, it's got to be signed by the governor. So I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Hmm.
But they're trying.
Yes.
They're
She
out
is
there in multiple
wonderful.
directions to try and make things better. You want to take that last line up there?
Oh, this is broadband. And this I really like because they added $5 million to expand broadband access in underserved areas. Now, here's something I need to remind y'all of. Okay, our government has been yakking away about this for I don't know how many years, our federal government, right? And throwing money at things. And oddly enough, most of the money never made it to broadband access.
Say it ain't so.
It is so for those underserved areas, flyover country, but you didn't get your broadband access in your underserved area, not from the federal government, but you're going to get it from the state of North Carolina.
They are working on it and they're working hard on it.
Yes, they are.
So they want to get it out there. And finally, that last line there, they've increased our rainy day fund to
Wow.
$4.75 billion.
Yes, they should.
Dollars.
Yes, they should.
So if we have a hurricane or we have another disaster, they have money available to deal with it. It's not a matter of going to borrow from somebody else. The money is there to put the resources online. So credit goes to them for a great job.
God bless them.
Absolutely. Great job, General Assembly.
Because we've had nothing but disaster since January 2021. Take all the help we can get.
Yep. Well, now, unfortunately, we have to discuss another factor of this.
Uh-oh.
The good job the General Assembly did in this budget that we just covered with you. Unfortunately, there were some people, and it was on the Republican side or the Republican extreme right, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
who read this and they misinterpreted what was said.
Yes.
And they immediately started sending out letters saying that the state legislature was expanding the requirements for us to all get shots and they're going to put us out locked up forever, et cetera, et cetera. And what ended up happening, they also requested that everybody start calling our state representatives and telling them not to do that. Well, they had their phones blown up in the last couple of days of the state legislature for no good reason. As a matter of fact, it became so bad that you all have a copy of what the state legislature kind of put out to explain reality to them, which, I don't mind people calling and representing what's going on, but something, it's not what you feel, it's what the facts are.
Correct.
Don't just assume someone tells you to do it, that they're 100% right. Do some research yourself because that's what we're supposed to be, critical thinkers at our age. And, it makes no sense for a state legislature who's been pro-people and pro-conservative values to suddenly turn around and go the opposite direction without checking.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, and I'll read some of the stuff here, Republicans in the General Assembly have been working hard for months to get the governor to end his unprecedented year-long emergency order. As a matter of fact, in last year's budget, he had to agree that in the 2023 year, he would, if he hasn't done it by then, he must stop the emergency order. That's in last year's budget, the orders that currently existed. So January 1st, it ends whether he does it earlier or not.
Right.
And that's something they forced him to do. And what they did is they kept saying, if you want to go further, you got to go back to our council of state. Now, our council of state is 10 people, including lieutenant governor, and 6 of those 10 people are Republicans, which is the first time in our history that we've elected 6 out of 10 in this 2020 election. So he doesn't want to go talk to them because the majority are not Republicans, so are not Democrats. So he's trying to avoid them. But this is saying you need to go back to them and get some permission to do things from them, because they will control better what you're up to, and they'll give you better advice than you just doing something political.
Well, how well did that lockdown work out for a lot of states, by the way? That years-long lockdown, how well did that work out?
Really?
There's still some of them still in it.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to New York, you're walking around in a mask most of your life.
They wave it like a sword, some of these governors. They really do.
You know, and that's exactly what it is. It's power.
It is.
It's not medical. It's power.
Exactly.
Power.
You know, and that's exactly what they're playing. Now, the first one that they did, they told the state health director he has a standing order for COVID testing and vaccinations, which what I think people misinterpreted, giving him certain powers. In reality, what all it did was allow the pharmacists to get paid for testing that were requested.
Yes.
And that's a whole different thing. And this provision also prohibits the state health director from forcing any citizen of North Carolina to submit to a vaccine or test or treatment. This is new and important protection.
Yes.
Yet, the exact opposite was what people were told.
Your rights have been upheld.
Yeah.
And actually grown. They're giving you more power to protect.
Yes, you can protect yourself.
And once again, folks, I stress facts. Get the facts.
Right. And the state law on quarantines and isolation was greatly restricted in last year's budget. This provision simply allows some flexibility in the 7-day rule to be extended to up to 30 days for local orders, and that would depend on situations. Not automatic.
Sure.
Can't be done to everything. In any case, these orders cannot be extended further without a court order. And state orders for quarantine are still restricted to 7 days, and any extension that requires council of state again. But again, the wrong information was put out there.
Yep.
And these representatives of ours who have done a great job for us are bombarded with phone calls over
A holiday weekend.
over incorrect information and getting beat up for things they didn't do. And they have to defend themselves.
What I love about our leaders in this county is, for the most part, they do work together.
They do.
Yes, they
For the most part, but we do have these times when people go off the deep end. Miss Mary's message is get your facts straight.
Absolutely.
And now, you know what? We've reached that point where it's time to pay our bills again and say goodbye. So, TK, if you'll start that music, we can start paying some bills.
The Boiling Spring Lakes Motel, located at 2 North Street, is a peaceful and convenient place to stay. Newly renovated rooms with a comfortable back porch welcomes everyone. Discount rates are available to those who might need more time or might be working nearby. Close to the beach and Wilmington, everything you need for a fun vacation. Call Stephanie at 910-845-2893.
Do you tell her you want to go to Mary's party that night for the birthday or not? I'm going to get in more trouble.
Folks, you must visit Angie's Fresh Produce, 4447 Long Beach Road, Southeast Southport. Beautiful fresh produce at a great price, plus shelves filled with jams, jellies, dressings, and sauces, and fresh loaves of bread. Angie's has just about every vegetable you want, in-store shopping and pickup, and all wheelchair accessible. Call Angie's Fresh Produce at 910-477-9068.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Oh, you know, ladies, it's hard to believe, but the hour's already over.
I know, my goodness.
It's time for us to say goodbye till next week.
Yes.
So, Greta, thank you for joining us. I
Yes.
think you did a great job with this.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Salary for that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm a volunteer, so that's going to help a lot.
And Mary, thank you, and happy birthday. to you
Happy
again, everybody.
birthday.
And I'm so glad you're back, Bill.
And I am so glad to be here. Until next week, everybody, on All Things Brunswick. Thank
Good
you for
night.
listening, and see you in a week.
Good night.
You're tuned in to the Big Talker Network, Wilmington, North Carolina's premier internet station for news and talk radio programming. Find us online at bigtalker.live.
This show